Hello, top 10 rivalry followers. It is Friday. That means it's Jackson. That means it's Bill. That means it's, well, weekly review, Jackson.
Yep.
Are you getting excited about that?
Yeah. All I'm going to say is 500, and I'll let you interpret that. 500.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I know exactly what you're talking about because you're in a blooper hat. So I know what that means.
500.
500. I mean, if he
Look,
added a couple
look.
of zeros before the decimal point, that would be Jackson's bank account. Last time I talked to him, he says, I'm worried about my bank account. It's down to 50 million. I said, Jackson, some people don't even see that. But whatever, Jackson, do what you gotta
And I don't check. I hired ePay to keep track of my finances.
do. He's doing a great job, by the way. Jackson, what you got for number one?
Number one, let's talk about uh, the front runner for NL MVP, Bill. How about that guy Corbin Carroll out in Arizona?
Yeah, he's a little lights out right now.
I mean, at his best 2 years ago in 2023 when he won Rookie of the Year, he was pretty dang good. I think he has found a power stroke. It To me, it's just crazy. He's got 14 home runs, 31 RBIs, five triples. Leads the league in hits, runs, uh, triples. He's got a 970 OPS. Leads the league in total bases. It's crazy watching him play baseball. Last year he was injured a lot of the year and he didn't look right. And people are like, "Oh, was he a one-hit wonder?" I don't think so. He's the
Hmm.
perfect type of hitter for a ballpark like Arizona that has that cavernous gap in the outfield to just pepper triples with his speed. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, with 14 home runs, he's already passed the halfway mark to his career high of 25, which he did in 155 games. He's only 44 games in, Bill. Uh, but
amazing,
one would think if the season were to end today, he would be at the top of that MVP list, certainly.
amazing, amazing, right? Absolutely freaking amazing. Um, I I struggle with him because obviously he plays in the division with America's team, the Dodgers. Um, but he is so good that it's hard. He's like Freddie Freeman. You love to hate him when he's playing against your team, but you love him every other time.
Yeah. Carroll's one of those guys. Your team's playing Arizona, and he gets on base. You just know he's going to be a thorn in the side. He can. He's a five-tool player.
And he's
Every,
a
every
6.5 tool player.
Yeah, he comes to the plate, and you're like, oh, geez, not this guy.
Exactly. Exactly. For those of you just listening to the show for the first time, Jackson and I usually will do 3 to 5 things that have happened throughout the week. Show's about a half hour, 35 minutes, depending. And so you'll hear me say, Jackson, give me your number one, or let me give you my number one. So we'll always go through some stuff. That's a good lead off, Corbin Carroll. I am going to lead off by saying, um, I want to wish all the best to Cabrera. That looked like a nasty, nasty injury. Um, from what I understand from a few Yankees fans, he did break his ankle. For 50 seconds, it looked like it could be career ending. It looked a lot more difficult than it really was. So I'm wishing him the best. I've said this 1,000 times over. I'm always the guy that wants to beat your best. I don't want to beat your B team. I want to beat your A team. So Cabrera, please get well soon. If you can make it back this season, make it back. Jackson.
Yeah, you never want to see a guy go down like that in a heap at home, especially at home plate. Um,
Yeah.
it, having it, I won't say names, but I was playing softball a couple of years ago. He knows who he is. I had it happen to someone in front of me. Similar type of play, just trying to pivot near the bag, and the ankle just goes. It's horrible to watch. It was tough rehab, but it's doable. And Oswaldo Cabrera was quoted by Aaron Judge in the post game press conference asking if he had scored. So, I mean, obviously his teammates got his back, and I think that's the most important thing for him that the teammates and the team stay with him through what's going to be it's going to be a tough rehab.
Mhm.
Basically got to learn how to walk again. He can't walk for like 4 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, end of the season. I thought it was career ending. So I'm glad that it's not. But it's been rough. It has been really, really rough. Um, so but let's get off the negative. Let's get back to the what do you got for number two, Mr. Jackson?
How about the Twins?
Oh,
Emphasis on the wins. Uh, they have won 11 in a row as of
yes,
last
they
night,
have. Yes, they have.
surging towards the top of the American League Central. Which, funnily enough, they're still 5 games back because the AL Central's been pretty good this year. But they've won 11 in a row. They've certainly, this reminds me kind of last year when I think they won 13 in a row after a bad start. I think the key for the Twins is staying healthy. Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa collided in yesterday's game. So hopefully they're all right and healthy because if they are, I think the Twins got a legit shot at making the playoffs. They're I think they and Texas are the two teams that you kind of look at and go, if these guys can stay healthy, they're going to make the postseason. But it's proving that they can stay healthy because the Twins have a lot of injury prone players on that team. But 11 in a row, it's the longest winning streak of the season by any team. Um, and it's catapulted them back into the early season playoff picture, which doesn't mean much, but 11 in a row is 11 in a row. So
Yep, 100%. 100%. 100%. I saw that yesterday after the game ended. And I said, oh, 11 in a row, guys. But then again, Detroit is just absolutely smoking right now. So, I mean,
I think I saw a stat. This was a couple days ago. They had when they were at like 8 games in a row, they'd only gained 1 or 2 games,
yeah,
which is just
exactly.
that's got to be a really crappy feeling.
Well, Jackson, I think I'm going to surprise you with number two. The MLB announced something this week. I texted it to you that guys like Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson are able to make the Hall of Fame now. Both gentlemen deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why Pete wasn't. I mean, when I'm watching games, Jackson, everything is sponsored by FanDuel, right? You get free bets if you open up an account. You get a free this, a free that. Okay, guys. So I am very happy to hear that this is. So, what are your thoughts on this one, Jackson?
I don't know if I've said my controversial piece on Pete Rose here, but let's sit down and say it. I think Pete Rose is the most overrated player in Major League Baseball history. Hear me out. Hear me out. What other player for the last 7 years of their career was allowed to insert themselves into the lineup to chase the all-time hits record, Bill?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that he can do it. He's still got a hit. It's
Hey, I'm just saying he got 7 more years of a career a lot of other players wouldn't have at a level that was not up to league average. So
mm,
I'm just saying, you know,
mm,
in his
mm,
prime, Pete Rose was good. He was a good baseball player, but
mm,
and there's also more than just the whole gambling thing keeping him out of the Hall of Fame. Uh,
mm,
I don't think he's going to get in. Honestly, I don't think they'll elect him.
mm.
Look, if they didn't let A Rod, Barry Bonds, like Barry Bonds didn't fail a drug test, but we all know he did steroids. Barry Bonds didn't get in.
Yeah.
He's a
I
lot. He's a lot better of a player than Pete Rose. So I don't think they're going to put Pete Rose in.
There are three players right now in baseball that I feel deserve to be in. There's many more. I mean, Don Mattingly, Steve Garvey, those are to name a few, but there's if there were three players that I was going to say absolutely belong in the hall, no questions asked, game set match. I'm going to say Shoeless Joe Jackson. I'm going to say Pete Rose, and I'm going to say Thurman Munson. Those are my three, right? Now, could I make a case for Dale Murphy? Could I make a case for like I said, Steve Garvey, Donnie Baseball, like plenty of them. But those three are for sure getting in if I'm voting.
I, I just have to say, I think Pete Rose's career stats are inflated. I think it is, if you look at his prime, properly rated. His career stats inflated by the being able to put himself in the lineup.
This is the only reason why I'm not debating with you right this second. There's only one reason why I'm not debating with you. Do you like to know what it is?
What is it?
You called at the beginning of the season that the Athletics would win the West. And at present, the Athletics are only a game or two behind. Um, and they're doing a lot better than what everybody had said. So if the Athletics were in last place and had a record like the Rockies, I would be debating you. But right now, Jackson Adamas gets a pass until this season is over. Period.
Fair,
End of discussion.
fair. But I'd also like to remind you, I think the Orioles to win the AL East. Uh,
Jackson, you are winning there, dude. You don't need to throw yourself out into the bus. Beep beep. Like
uh,
I
I
was
know.
throwing you flowers.
I just gotta let people know. I'm right sometimes.
Yeah, you can't.
But hey, they can still do it. There's a lot of baseball left to play, but I'm not gonna hold my breath
Hmm.
with that one.
All right, Mr. Jackson, what do you got for number three?
You know, you mentioned them. I gotta mention them again because they keep finding a new level every week. Those Colorado Rockies. Um, they stand alone, Bill. This is the worst start in the modern era, starting at 1901. Uh, 7-36 through their first 43 games. They beat the 1904 Washington Senators, who were 8-35. And man, they fired Bud Black, who a lot of us thought couldn't get fired because he's coached a lot of bad Rockies teams the last couple of years. But it just feels like ownership. We talked about it. Ownership doesn't want to change. And I saw something. They had 38,000 people at the ballpark the other night. I don't think it's going to change until the fans decide it's going to change. And
What do you
that's the
think is
unfortunate part.
what do you think is going to pull that fan change?
I don't know. Honestly, from what I heard, it going to Coors Field's like going out with your friends to a nice place and there just happens to be a baseball game in the background. And I'm sure it's really fun for people who are visiting Denver, to go watch your team go stomp the Rockies. But, I don't know. Something's got to give at some point because, the Rockies, they deserve better than this.
Yeah, it is sad. If you do the math on it right now, they're on pace to lose 130 games, which will be the worst in MLB history. So the 2024 White Sox are like, come on, take us out. Um, if you,
I think we were talking about at the end of last year, the best case scenario for the White Sox would be, to improve 30 games. I think the new best case scenario is this, that the Rockies make everyone forget about the 2024 White Sox.
well, that could really be the case. What's interesting to me about this whole thing, though, Jackson, is I was talking with somebody about this, and the Rockies just don't look good at all. Their stats don't look good. They don't have Corvo's out with an injury, right? I mean, obviously Chris Bryant is collecting a paycheck and isn't playing. Chris Bryant is trying to take the illustrious Anthony Rendon school of baseball. So a lot of it is interesting to me that the Rockies just don't seem to be getting better. And I don't know what ownership is doing, but they just don't seem it. I'm not going to say they don't care. I'm not saying that, but I am saying it just doesn't seem like they want to get better.
No, it's crazy, and I think it stems from where they play, Coors Field, and the inability to develop any sort of pitching. I think pitchers come up and struggle, and it's really, pitching's a confidence game. It's a feel game. If you don't feel like you're throwing well, you're not going to throw well. And none of
Yeah.
these young arms feel like they can throw well at Coors Field because it's just so different.
Yep. Yep.
The balls go so far, your breaking balls break so much less. You have to rely on your fastball, which is not in today's MLB. You do not want to be relying on your fastball to get outs because you
Yep.
will not. You will get rocked.
Yep. 2000%. 2000%. I agree with you there. Well, Jackson, before I get to number three and then we get to four and five or honorable mentions, I we got to stop here in the middle of the show. We got to stop. We got to just talk about how awesome box breaking has become for Top Fan Rivalry and how much fun it is. We partnered up with Heads Up Sports Cards and Boston, Mass. Mike over there, he does a fantastic job over there. Uh, you can get in the two breaks with him. You can join the 27 outs break. If you're joining the 27 outs, not the club, but the breaks or Mike's breaks, and you don't want to pay full price, you can use which code?
Use code Jackson, get 10% off.
Jackson it is. Capital letters, not Reggie, but you want to use Jackson.
Edwin, perhaps.
Yeah, or Edwin, perhaps. Yes. Shoeless Joe, perhaps. All right. Okay, let me okay, so let's do this. Now let's go to the next level. And I feel bad. I feel terrible that every week we're talking about this, but this guy is on pace to do video game stuff. Can we talk about Aaron Judge?
Uh, it all rise. It's that time of the week. Weekly
Yeah,
review.
I feel bad about this.
Obligatory Aaron Judge mentioned in the weekly review. We
I
should keep
feel
a
bad about this as my number three, but the guy's had 68 hits. The guy had 68 hits. The guy has a 412 batting average. The guy has 15 home runs. He has 41 RBIs. The only freaking category that he's not leading in, it feels like, is nose hairs and like strikeouts or something like that. I mean, this guy, Jackson, do you realize that this guy is on pace to have 150 RBIs, 60 home runs, and 230 hits? I I know it sounds silly that we keep mentioning him, but this is video game crap, Jackson. He is so good right now. And then I get it, he can slow down. But Jackson, if he goes into the All-Star break, mind you, there's still another 45 games before the All-Star break. If he goes into the All-Star break with 120 hits and 30 home runs, that's a season for most people.
Yeah, it's a career year for most major leaguers. 30 home runs at the All Star break. I
Yes,
mean,
exactly.
120 hits is probably like a league average player. You know, the guy that plays most every day. It's reasonable to expect about 120 to 140 hits. Yeah, it. I don't know how he keeps getting better. I don't know how he's still hitting 400. I remember when we used to laugh that, haha, Aaron Judge hits 250 and only hits home runs. Now it's like, oh, Aaron Judge hits 400 and still hits all the home
Can't laugh
runs.
about that anymore.
Yeah, it's like he keeps getting better. He strikes out less. He walks more.
Yep, yep,
He's just a better pure hitter, and he's one of those guys that just seems like he's going to age well because his frame, as long as he stays healthy, is
yep.
powerful enough to hit the baseball wherever he wants to go. So
100%. 100%. Um, all right. I that was my number three. I had to mention it. Jackson, what do you got for number four? We'll probably get number fours in, and then we'll probably do some honorable mentions.
all right, my number four is abolish the designated hitter.
Whoa.
Let me put that some context in for you. The designated hitter has sparked some controversy this week with Rafael Devers refusing to move off the DH to play first base after his we talked about early in spring training how he was mad that he doesn't get to play third base. And now that the Red Sox have had an injury to Tristan Casas, have asked him to play first base, and he said, I threw my glove away. I'm learning how to play designated hitter. Now the problem I have with that is you don't play designated hitter. You just sit there with your helmet and your batting gloves on all game and go, oh, it's my turn to hit. Sweet. Um,
Yeah.
two, honestly, I've grown tired of it. I miss old National League baseball. I know people hate pitchers flailing at pitches, but hey, you got to hit and field your position because the designated hitter just breeds situations like this where guys, you know, they get complacent or, stuff like that where, you hide the bad defenders. I think everyone should be a baseball player. And this whole Rafael Devers situation at Boston's being handled horribly by the front office and ownership in Boston. But, they got him locked in on a 10-year extension. signed in 2023. So we'll see where it goes. But it to me, it's just silly that he thinks of designated hitter as a position when it really, in reality, I don't mind that teams use it to give guys days off and hit. It's when guys like this go, well, I'm the designated hitter, and that's all I do.
hmm 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 so Jackson, legit, you led me into my next one, but um, you led me into my next one. But here's the thing. Here's how I feel about Rafi Devers. Okay. If I'm ownership, if I'm the GM, for example, I'm going to ownership and I say, can I do what I need to do? And ownership will probably say, yeah, knock yourself out. Right. And I'm going to go over to Devers and say, you are an employee of the company. You work when you work. You don't work when you don't work. But if I tell you to play first base, you're going to play first base. If not, I'm going to sit you right over there and I'm going to work on trading you. Want to stay in Boston or not?
Yeah, and I mean, and them moving him off third base wasn't even like a personal thing where it's like, oh, Devers, you're bad. We're going to replace you with league average. They went out and got Alex Bregman, who's a good defender at third base, to play third base. It's not like he was blindsided by this. It was no secret the Red Sox were looking to upgrade, the infield defensively. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, I know first base is hard. Roll the money ball clip. And, how hard is it to play first base? Tell him, Wash. It's really easy. It's incredibly difficult. We all know the quote. But I think a guy who's played third can play first base at the major league level. Honestly, we seen it happen before. It honestly, first base is easier just because you don't get as many balls hit to you. It's really easy. What you got to do most plays is cover the bag.
Agree. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to debate you, Jackson. I like this. I like this.
But yeah, so I just thought I'd bring up the elephant in the room and be Rafi, just go play first base, man. You'll get back in the field. Who knows? Maybe you'll be really good at it, and they won't take you off first base ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything of that, you'll get to play in the field again.
I my number four. You piggybacked on my number four, which is kind of funny because when you said abolish, I'm like, oh Lord, he's going to take mine, but you did not abolish the ghost runner. If you want the ghost runner, I say you do it in the 13th inning, right, or even the 12th inning. Okay, but here's the deal. Let me quote a good friend of mine, Jackson. Let me give you context. Right, let me give you context. Wednesday night, I'm watching the Dodgers play the Athletics. Okay. Landon Knack is on the bump. Now, Landon Knack is one of those guys that comes up, comes down, comes up, comes down, comes up, because he's a rookie, right? Everybody loves Landon Knack. He's a good guy. He tries. Decent dude. Gives a ground ball. I think it was Kiki who was playing second. Kiki's playing over by second base, right? He's playing second, but he's playing over by second base. He's got the shift on, right? Right-handed batter. He hits a ground ball off the bat at a whopping 81 mile an hour. Okay. The thing barely went through the infield, right? And the right fielder picks it up, throws it in. Okay. Andy Paez. The next batter comes up and strikes out on three pitches. The next batter comes up and strikes out on four pitches. The next batter comes up and strikes out on six pitches. Okay. That being said, um, you have, I mean, I think he was maybe in 15 pitches with three strikeouts. But he gave up a base hit. And I got to thinking, Jackson, if that was the 10th inning, the way that that ball came off the bat and where Kiki was playing, that scores a run. So what happens if you take the L? Because any other inning, one base hit like that, even if it's a screamer base hit, one base hit and three strikeouts is a great inning, except in the 10th. What are your thoughts?
I used to hate the Ghost Runner. Uh,
Used to?
used to. Oh, let me
Oh,
finish.
brother,
Hold on.
please, let's go. I want to hear this now.
So
Justify yourself.
the Braves have played five extra inning games this season. I watched all five of them, and it's really interesting to see how the approach changes. Bill, you need two runs in extra innings if you're the away team.
They don't.
Yes, you do.
They don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't. I've seen people win with one, scoring one.
The Braves are horrible with runners in scoring position, but do what they consistently do in extra innings: move the guy to third and then drive him in. It's ABC. You got to play ABC baseball. It boils down to playing fundamental baseball, and it's interesting. I agree with you that it shouldn't start in the 10th. That you should give him a couple of innings, but honestly, I don't mind it. I think it puts a unique challenge, and it's a fun little spin, kind of like hockey's 3-on-3 overtime
So, here
for
we
the
go.
regular
Hockey.
for the
Don't get
regular
me
season.
started there. You don't know hockey until you move to the East Coast where you live. You did not know hockey in Orange County. I knew you growing up. Don't start quoting me hockey references.
I watched hockey in high school.
You did not watch that.
Have you met my best friend? He's a Ducks fan.
That's his fault. Not a real team. Um, no, Jackson, I get the idea. Maybe the 12th or the 13th. I get the
Yeah, I was
idea
gonna
that
say probably in like the 12th inning. You give him the 10th and the 11th, and if by then, but I like the runner when it's employed. I think it encourages fundamental baseball.
so okay, there's Skippy. Let me throw this idea by you. Okay. It is early September. Okay. I'm gonna make a scenario up here. It's early September. The Braves got 23 games left. They are currently 4 games out of first place and in third place. Um, Winner of the division and the next team behind them are going to make the playoffs because they're just that good, right?
Mhm.
Um, but the Braves are 2 games behind them. Okay. The Braves are playing, think of a good team. Braves are playing the Tigers, an interleague game. Okay. You go into the 10th inning, tied 2-2. Um, and you are better yet, you go into the bottom of the 10th inning, you're down 3-2. Okay. Um, Last batter up was Matt Olson. He's now the runner on second. Your first batter up in the inning is Ronald Acuna Jr. Are you telling me with Ronald Acuna Jr. you're going to bunt?
No, but he can hit a deep fly ball. He can hit a ground ball to the right side.
Okay, so he hits a ground ball to the shortstop and
To
Matt Olson
to
does not advance.
to the right side, Bill. I'm saying you have
I
to play
I heard what
ABC
you
baseball.
said, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, right? Now you got one out and still runner on second. You got 2 chances to score. I don't like it. I just don't. I don't like because you lose that game and you go down, let's say 3 games, and that could be your season.
It could be, but as the old adage goes, put yourself in the best position to win, and playing extra innings is not putting yourself in the best position to win, even under the old rules, because
And
anything
to quote
anything
Professor
happens in
Yogi
free
Berra,
baseball.
exactly. To quote Professor Yogi Berra, always go to other people's funerals so that they will come to yours. I get
Yep.
it, Jackson. I I'm picking up what you're putting down. I get it.
Look,
Okay.
like as someone who's been to a 16 inning game in person, um, it's fun, but it stops being fun after a couple of innings when nobody does anything.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I say abolish the ghost run. Okay, Jackson, we got about 5 minutes left over. What you got for honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. How about the Cardinals? Their winning streak just
Yes.
ended. They've rattled off, I think, 10 of 11, splitting the doubleheader with the Phillies on Wednesday. It was. They had the off day on Thursday. They've got themselves back within one game of the division. I don't know how they do it. Um, I'm just going to blame it on devil magic, like I have been for the last 2 decades with the Cardinals. The devil magic's back in St. Louis.
Eh, devil magic. Okay, do you have any other honorable mentions?
Uh, James Wood is very good at baseball. I'm just going to say that. What
Uh,
he hit a home run against Atlanta the other night, where I was just like, man, that ball was squared.
the yes, we saw him early on in the season when the Dodgers, I'm sorry, America's team went to the White House. And we saw him playing, and he is very good. He is a lot bigger than you think that he is, height wise.
Oh, he's huge.
Yeah, he's the baseball gods reached out and said, "We're going to create a baseball player." And I said this on Unraveling Baseball yesterday. If you listen to the episode from yesterday, Mike and I were talking about this over at Unraveling Baseball, and Mike and I both agree the same thing that James Wood is going to be a perennial all-star, maybe
Oh yeah,
even as early as this season.
yeah. He looks like the type of guy that might rattle off a 50 home run season at some point. Like he hits the ball just that hard.
Yeah, yeah, it's insane what he does. Absolutely insane what he does. Um,
He's a pretty solid defender too for a guy of his size playing left field.
you know what's interesting to me, Jackson, is before I got in back into the hobby into box breaking, before I got back into the hobby and box breaking, literally I did not know much about some of these rookies, but I mean, James Wood, I mean, that's not only is that a popular card, but it's a good valued card for a rookie card in all the series, in the Bowman, in the high number, or in the Heritage, in the high number, in the Series One, in all directions, it is a good product.
But yeah,
So, um, that's my plug about box breaking. The other honorable mention I'm going to mention is that there are a lot of guys who are flying under the radar because of teams that they play for. All on Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore is having a season. He's leading the MLB with strikeouts. He is having a season, and because the guy that's right behind him with a couple of strikeouts named Zach Wheeler, to get all the publicity because he plays in Philadelphia, and he's done it before. Mackenzie Gore's not getting the love, but there's a lot of guys. Jacob Wilson is right there with hits, right behind Aaron Judge. I mean, there's a lot of guys that aren't household names yet that are putting up really, really good numbers. And you don't hear about it because they don't play for big market teams, or their last name isn't Judge or Otani or Freeman or any of the uh, any of the things,
yeah,
right?
I agree with you. Uh, I think the only thing I like about consistent interleague is we get to see these guys more often and know who they are. Uh, you mentioned interleague games earlier.
Mhm.
So I think it's nice that, MLB, I feel like there's a lot of talent spread throughout the league to most every team, not named Colorado, unfortunately. But you can look on teams and be like, they got some guys. And it's always great early in the season to see what good young players take the step forward because it's nice and refreshing to have some new faces. Sure we enjoy, watching Aaron Judge be at the top of every leaderboard. But it's nice to see a name like Jacob Wilson, cruising up there,
Mhm.
in the batting average conversation because the Athletics, they just left Oakland. Everyone's kind of written them off. It's nice to see that they have their players performing, and they've kind of putting something together. Too little, too late, in my opinion. But
Too little, too late. But hey, you
but
know,
hey,
it is what it is. It is what it is. Jackson, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of humor here. You ready for this?
yep,
So Thursday morning, I do the morning show, the In the League show, right?
yep.
So I had Tora on, who is a Mets fan. I had Jonna on, who is a Yankees fan. These two ladies, neither one of them live in New York. Tora actually lives in London, England. Um, and so great accent, all of the things, right? And so they asked me who I thought would win the series. Um, uh, I started laughing. I said New York. It was the Mets and Yankees. Somebody asked me who's going to win the series. My answer is New York.
That is
Is
the
that a
correct
fair
answer.
answer, Jackson?
It's correct. Not only is it fair, it's correct. It's technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
Somebody booked the FanDuel. New York is going to win. The Mets and Yankees, I'm picking New York. I'm going to win.
I don't think that's a valid bet on FanDuel.
Jackson, you know a guy teaches high school in Orange County. Okay. You grew up around him. You grew up with some of his kids. 2 years ago, I called him up and I said, I will bet you $100. that the Angels will play in October this season. And he goes, "Ooh, yeah, you got a lot of confidence in the Angels. Wow, that's impressive. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, "I'll bet you $100 that they're going to play in October." And he was going to take the bet. I said, "Okay, think about it for now and give me a call back." He calls me back 2 minutes later. And he says, "Yeah, the last three games of the regular season are October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd." Hey, I thought it was a safe bet for me. I didn't say they would play in the postseason. I said they would play in October baseball. Jackson, you see what I did there?
Yes,
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
very.
I mean, this isn't just a pretty face, Jackson. I know a few things.
All right.
Not many, but I know a few things, Jackson.
Just a
I
just a
appreciate you, Jackson. We need to do this again
just a
next
few
week, right?
things. Only a few.
Only a few, yes. We need to do this again a little bit later next week. Jackson, give them the code again if they want to purchase anything. You're wearing a cool looking hoodie. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know what's up. Jackson, isn't that a comfy hoodie?
It is very comfy. That's why I'm wearing it.
There you
I
go.
got home from work and I was like, oh, I need something comfy.
There you go. Jackson, what code did they use if they're going to get anything in the team store?
Use code Jackson, get 10% off. Get
Code
yourself a hood.
Jackson.
I know summertime's coming up, but you still need a hoodie.
You still
You
need
know?
a hoodie. And for those summer nights that get breezy and a little chilly, you
Yeah.
still need a hoodie.
You need a hoodie for when you're roasting s'mores.
There you go. All right, we're gonna do it again next week, everybody. Make sure that you are following and Rivalry on socials. That means Facebook and ask to be in the Facebook group. Subscribe to us on Spotify. It's free. YouTube, obviously X and Instagram. Make sure you're following Jackson on his socials. You can find him obviously at Top 10 Stats Guy. Everybody, do it again next week. Talk to you soon, everybody.